Section 9.7, Molecular Orbitals. Valence bond theory and hybrid orbitals allow us to move in a straightforward way from Lewis structures to rationalizing the observed geometries of molecules in terms of atomic orbitals. For example, we can use this theory to understand why methane has the formula CH4, how the carbon and hydrogen atomic orbitals are used to form electron pair bonds, and why the arrangements of the carbon-hydrogen bonds about the central atom, carbon, is tetrahedral. This model, however, does not explain all aspects of bonding. Why is it not successful, for example, in describing the excited states of molecules, in which we must understand to explain how molecules absorb light or giving them color? Some aspects of bondings are better explained by a more sophisticated model called the molecular orbital theory. In Chapter 6, we saw that electrons in atoms can be described by wave functions, in which we call atomic orbitals. In a similar way, molecular orbital theory describes the electrons in molecules by using specific wave functions called molecular orbitals. Chemists use the abbreviation MO for a molecular orbital. Molecular orbitals have many of the same characteristics as atomic orbitals. For example, a molecular orbital can hold a maximum of 2 electrons with opposite spins. It has a definite energy, and we can visualize its electron density distribution by using a contour representation, as we did when we discussed atomic orbitals. Unlike atomic orbitals, however, molecular orbitals are associated with the entire molecule, not with a single atom. The hydrogen molecule. To appreciate the approach taken in molecular orbital theory, we'll begin with the simplest molecule, the hydrogen molecule, H2. We'll use its two 1s atomic orbitals, one on each hydrogen atom, to build a molecular orbital for the H2 molecule. Whenever 2 atomic orbitals overlap, 2 molecular orbitals form. Thus, the overlap of the 1s orbitals of 2 hydrogen atoms to form hydrogen produce 2 molecular orbitals. One of the molecular orbitals lies lower in energy from the 2 atomic orbitals in which it was made, and the other molecular orbital lies at higher energy. Figure 9.34, the molecular orbitals of hydrogen. The combination of 2 hydrogen 1s atomic orbitals forms 2 molecular orbitals of H2. In the bonding molecular orbital, sigma 1s, the atomic orbitals combine constructively, leading to a buildup of electron density between the 2 nuclei. In the antibonding molecular orbital, or 1 star 1s, sigma star 1s, the orbitals combine destructively in the bonding region. Note that the sigma star 1s molecule has a node between the 2 nuclei. The lower energy molecular orbital of hydrogen concentrates electron density between the 2 hydrogen nuclei and is called the bonding molecular orbital. This sausage-shaped molecular orbital results from the summing of the 2 atomic orbitals so that the atomic orbital wave function combines in the region between the 2 nuclei. Because an electron in this molecular orbital is attracted to both nuclei, the electron is more stable. It has lower energy than it is in the 1s atomic orbital of an isolated hydrogen atom. Further, because the bonding molecular orbital concentrates electron density between the nuclei, it holds the atoms together in a covalent bond. The higher energy molecular orbital in figure 934 has very little electron density between the nuclei and is called the antibonding molecular orbital. Instead of combining in the region between the nuclei, the atomic orbital wave functions cancel each other in this region, leaving the greatest electron density in opposite sides of the nuclei. Thus, this molecular orbital excludes electrons from the very region in which a bond must be formed. An electron in this molecular orbital is repelled from the bonding region and is therefore less stable. It has a higher energy than it is in the first 1s atomic orbital of a hydrogen atom. Figure 9.35, energy level diagrams for hydrogen and helium. A. The 2 electrons in the hydrogen molecule occupy the sigma 1s bonding molecular orbital. B. In the hypothetical helium-2 molecule, both the sigma 1s bonding molecular orbital and the sigma star 1s antibonding molecular orbital are occupied by 2 electrons. The electron density in both of the bonding molecular orbitals and the antibonding molecular orbital hydrogen is centered about the internuclear axis. Molecular orbitals of this type are called sigma molecular orbitals, by analogy to the sigma bonds that were defined in section 9.6. The bonding singular sigma molecular orbital of hydrogen is labeled sigma 1s. The subscript indicates that the molecular orbit is formed from two 1s orbitals. The antibonding sigma molecular orbit of hydrogen is labeled sigma star 1s. The asterisk denotes that the molecular orbit is antibonding. The interacting between the two 1s atomic orbitals and the molecular orbitals that can result can be represented by an energy level diagram, also called a molecular orbital diagram, such as those in figure 9.35. Such diagrams show the interacting atomic orbitals in the left and right columns and the molecular orbitals in the middle column. Note that the bonding molecular orbital sigma 1s is lower in energy than the atomic 1s orbitals, whereas the antibonding orbital sigma star 1s is higher in energy than the 1s orbitals. Like atomic orbitals, each molecular orbital can accommodate two electrons with their spins paired. The molecular orbital diagram of the hydrogen molecule is shown in figure 9.35. Each hydrogen atom brings one electron to the molecule, so there are two electrons in hydrogen. These two electrons occupy the lower energy bonding molecular orbital and their spins are paired. Electron orbiting in a bonding molecular orbital is called a bonding electrons. Because the sigma 1s molecular orbital is lower in energy than the isolated 1s atomic orbitals, the hydrogen molecule is more stable than the two separate hydrogen atoms. By analogy with atomic electron configurations, the electron configurations for molecules can also be written with the superscripts to indicate electron occupancy. The electron configuration for H2 then is sigma 1s2. By contrast, the hypothetical helium-2 molecule requires 4 electrons to fill its molecular orbitals, as in figure 935b. Because only 2 electrons can be put in the sigma 1s molecular orbital, the other 2 electrons must be placed in the sigma star 1s molecular orbital. The electron configuration of helium-2 is sigma 1s2, sigma star 1s2. The energy decrease from the 2 electrons in the bonding molecular orbital is offset by the energy increase from the 2 electrons in the antibonding molecular orbital. Hence, helium-2 is an unstable molecule. Molecular orbital theory correctly predicts that hydrogen forms diatomic molecules, but helium does not. Bond order. In molecular orbital theory, the stability of a covalent bond is related to its bond order, defined as half the difference between the number of bonding electrons and the number of antibonding electrons. We take half the difference because we're used to thinking of bonds in pairs of electrons. A bond order of 1 represents a single bond, a bond order of 2 represents a double bond, and a bond order of 3 represents a triple bond. Because molecular orbital theory also treats molecules containing an odd number of electrons, bond orders of 1/2, 3/2, and 5/2 are possible. Because hydrogen-2 has 2 bonding electrons and 0 antibonding electrons, it has a bond order of 1. Because helium-2 has 2 bonding electrons and 2 antibonding electrons, it has a bond order of 0. A bond order of 0 means that no bond exists.